going to tell y'all like this. We're going to have to hold the Democrats to the same standards that they hold Republicans.
In that room? No, absolutely not. I mean, everything I said is correct. It's how the American people feel. It's what we know to be a fact. It's all the evidence has been proven true. We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon.
He is a convicted felon.
Well, yeah, so is George Floyd. And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the fucking country over George Floyd, and Raskin is in there saying we worship him. Excuse me, let me correct you, and this is really important. I don't worship, I worship God. God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump. And I'm really sick and tired of the bullshit annex I have to deal with constantly from the Democrats. So that's what we just went through in there. And then they're sitting there, they can attack my character all day long. What's his face in there, whoever was talking last was calling me insane. But yet we can't say, oh, they're attacking my character. Oh no, it's nonstop BS and annex. You want to know why? The Democrats don't have anything. They're responsible for the lockdowns, forced vaccinations, kids being forced to stay home, people committing suicide, and all the horrors that this country lived through during COVID. Fauci belongs in prison. He should be tried for mass murder, and he should be tried for crimes against humanity. That's how I feel after that hearing. That's how the American people feel.
Now, before I comment on what she's actually talking about, I want to say this. Isn't it weird how, as of late, the media, legacy media at least, and, you know, a lot of these entertainment outlets are denouncing God to some capacity? Now, obviously, this isn't about that. That point that I'm making right now really isn't the point of the video. But I just wanted to point that out. Like, we took praying out of schools, you know what I'm saying? Like, Candace Owens said Christ Jesus is king, and had uproar about that. Like, y'all see what's going on in spiritual warfare for real. This is obviously a video of Major Reed Taylor Greene denying worshiping Donald Trump, and obviously accused the Democrats of worshiping George Floyd. And that's not necessarily far-fetched. The man literally has statues, you know, how you call them? Murals. There we go. Murals everywhere. Like, you know, he's in songs and all that. Like, he's put everywhere. But to sit there and claim that the fight for democracy, I will admit, the fight for democracy as of late in America, for us, looks like Donald Trump needs to be in office, because he literally represents everything that is wrong. I mean, well, everything that could be right. He represents fixing everything wrong with America. Now, obviously, he's only one man. He's not going to be able to solve all problems, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he's somebody who's not bought and paid for, and the American people can see that. But the Democrats, man, they out here, you know, just using all of they empathy tactics and things of the nature. This was following on Monday after being interviewed. This is her being interviewed following Dr. Anthony Fauci's public testimony. And Fauci is just scum at this point. And as Zero pointed out, we don't know who this guy behind Fauci is, but he definitely deserves a beer.
Emails, texts, letters of myself, my wife, my 3 daughters. There have been credible death threats leading to the arrests of 2 individuals, and credible death threats means someone who clearly was on their way to kill me. And it's required my having protective services essentially all the time. It is very troublesome to me. It is much more troublesome because they've involved my wife and my 3 daughters.
At these moments, how do you feel? Keep your mic on.
Terrible.
Do you continue to receive threats today?
Yes, I do. Every time someone gets up and says I'm responsible for the death of people throughout the world, the death threats go up.
I gotta laugh to keep from crying. Seriously. You got people that be in my comments like, oh, man, you be laughing at all the wrong times, this, that, and the third. Now, listen, let me say this. First of all, people who are no longer here with us at the hands of that man, that is not funny. That is not funny whatsoever. Where my humor comes from is to laugh to keep from crying, though, right? So I'm watching that clip and I'm hearing the severity of what he's saying, but I'm also looking at the guy behind him, and I'm feeling the same exact way. You got so many lives, so many people, families are ruined because of this man. And now you want us to be concerned? Now, let me just go and put the disclaimer out there. I do not condone death threats. I do not condone harassment. To prove further why Fauci is just such scum, we have Jim Jordan, who just got Fauci to admit that he's approved the funding for the Wuhan lab in China to get that engineered vid. Fauci lied and people died.
Prior to that call would have been on the call.
Well, the call was arranged by Jeremy Farrar. You should ask him.
Okay. Did U.S. tax dollars flow through a grant recipient to the lab in China?
I'm sorry. What was?
Did U.S. tax dollars flow through a grant recipient to the lab in China?
Yes, of course. It was a sub-award to the Wuhan Institute.
And who approved that award?
Excuse me?
And who approved that award? What agency approved that award?
National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases.
Your agency approved that, right?
Yes, it did. After.
Did that have anything to do with this downplaying of the lab leak theory?
No.
Nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
What?
Okay. So he lied to the taxpayers. He definitely should be punished for that. And somebody should be going to jail or held accountable for their actions. This right here seems a bit despicable. You're going to fund this? Really? You funded the travesty? Wow, man, that's low right there. What kind of world are we living in, y'all? Like, life seems to be just dangled at this point. Like, this man think life is just, a game. What? Now, they say, if Fauci was smart, he will watch this video.
But they're really criticizing science because I represent science.
If you're vaccinated, you really don't need to worry about getting it in a way that's serious or transmitting it.
That is true. That is correct, Chris. It'll either protect you completely against infection, and the chances are very likely that you'll not be able to transmit it to other people. The risk is extremely low of transmitting it to anybody else. Full stop. Vaccinated people are clearly capable of transmitting the infection. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better. If people are not wearing masks, then maybe we should be mandating it. I often myself wear 2 masks.
And I'm quoting you now, at the population level, masks work at the margins, maybe 10%. To hear that they only work at the margins, maybe 10%, would make a lot of people ask, okay, then why was I wearing a mask?
You're really attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're attacking science when you say that this is going to go away tomorrow like magic, when you know that there's no chance it's going to just disappear. We hope this just goes away, burns itself out.
So my question is, why weren't you straight with the American people about this to begin with?
So the bottom line is, it's a guesstimate. I gave a range.
It seemed in that quote to suggest that you were basing your recommendation on polling and what people could accept. Is that not what you meant?
No, I mean, it's a bit of that.
We're seeing all of these school closures around the country. Is that the right move for children and families?
And I think what's going on right now is generally an appropriate approach. You want to start doing something to socially distance yourself. How dramatic that is, closing schools and doing other things, should be proportionate.
It went too far, that particularly for kids who couldn't go to school except remotely, that it's forever damaged them.
Well, I don't think it's forever irreparably damaged anyone.
The U.S. Surgeon General has called it an urgent public health crisis, a devastating decline in the mental health of kids across the country. According to the CDC, the rates of suicide, self-harm, anxiety, and depression are up among adolescents.
And the record will show, Neil, that we didn't recommend shutting everything down. First of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down. I recommended to the president that we shut the country down. And that was a very difficult decision because I knew it would have serious economic consequences, which it did. Yeah. Because if you look at the people that are politicizing me, there's somebody that all the way over on one level. But there are a lot of other people who look upon me the way they should, as a non-political person that I am. They're not doing it because they say they don't want to do it. They're Republicans. They don't like to be told what to do. Right. And we've got to break that. But now is the time to do what you're told.
Where did this virus come from, do you think, today? Did it come from a lab? Was it man-made? when you have the animal-human interface and you have animals that come out of the wild that are sold at these open, what they call them, wet markets.
Place of origin was not within the market itself.
No, I don't think you could say that.
There's a report today that another intelligence arm of the U.S. government, this is inside our energy department, has joined the FBI in concluding that COVID began with a lab leak in China.
That the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain of function research in the Wuhan Institute.
We now know that a bat coronavirus was enhanced in a lab. The National Institutes of Health acknowledged that it funded research of a virus that was studied at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The experiment unexpectedly, we're told, made a bat coronavirus more contagious than the original naturally occurring one.
Take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans. Right. You're saying that's not gain of function? Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about.
Oh,
They
really?
took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function? It is not. What we're talking about now is the gain of function research in studies that increase predominantly the transmissibility as well as pathogenesis and alteration of host range of the virus.
Oh my gosh.
Lying here, Senator, it is you.
Really?
I have to laugh at that. I should be prosecuted.
You should. After watching that, all I can think of is, yeah, bro, he got to be in the cell. He going to have to be in cell block 1, something. You know, dead serious. And forget how I feel. You got Major Retailer Green who called for the imprisonment of Fauci to his face. To his face. This lying sack of, seriously, man. Gonna sit there and alter the course of so many people's lives and education and also take people's lives. And bro, you are scum.
But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in royalty fees, especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor, you're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection.
I reclaim my
Mr.
time.
Objection.
I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time, Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
Just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend.
What's sad about all of this is he had the audacity to try to say, hey, you know, I'm going to warn them that this situation is likely coming in the near future when he knew all along.